Anyway, let's get into our next guy here. Daniel Bellinger, who, of course, had this great rookie year. A guy that we thought a lot of promise, we had a lot of expectations going to year two. And then we get Darren Waller. And then we're like, okay, what do we expect now? Should we damper the expectations because he's not going to be necessarily the number one tight end, even though he'll still be on the field with Waller as well quite often? Should we expect maybe better things because he's less covered because people are worrying about Darren Waller? And yeah, he basically comes into having basically the worst year he possibly could have had. I hate to say it that way and be so negative, but that was a bad year for him. So again, Daniel Bellinger, 6'5", 253 pounds, still just 23 years old. Last year, 17 games, technically had 13 starts, 25 receptions, 225 yards, and a PFF grade of 49.1. Now, my issues with him, and it's not even issues as far as him catching the ball and that, it's that his bread and butter was blocking. And there was a lot of penalties he had. There was a lot of, issues that he had that were ill-timed. Not just like penalties, like, oh, holding, my bad. It was like holding on third down kind of holdings. Like it was drive-killing penalties that I remember happening, at least a few times there during pivotal times of games. But then you throw away the fact that, again, 255 yards, whether right or wrong, I think a lot of us were expecting a little bit of a jump, perhaps, from his rookie year. You want to see an improvement. And he had 5 less receptions. He had 13 less yards. So, and he didn't have a single touchdown last year, where he had 2 at least the year before. So, there was definitely a lot to be desired. Now, whenever a player has a bad year, in my head mentally, I'm like, okay, were they injured? I don't remember any injuries being involved with him, but listen, anytime you go through, you get injured or you get hurt. It's like that old football. What football movie is that? Are you hurt or are you injured? He probably was. Possibly was hurt. Was it the program?
I don't remember. Little Giants. Definitely Little Giants.
Definitely Little Giants. It's like the program with Alka-Seltzer. But yeah, I mean, you got to wonder. I mean, was he at all maybe battling something we weren't aware of? Because it's just weird because I expect, variables in his receiving skills because he's, again, guys, we drafted him knowing that he was a blocking tight end. We didn't know what to expect receiving wise. He's still kind of learning that part of football. I expected good blocking. And I don't think we got that from him necessarily. And again, you couple that with the issues as far as the the penalties,
the offensive line.
It's a bad year, and that probably hurt him too. You're bringing up a very valid point. I mean, you're blocking next to Evan Neal. Good luck.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like, oh, you could catch the ball, but we really need you to block this year because the guy that's supposed to be blocking on the right side, well, guess what? We need you to help.
So, but I mean, again, Evan Neal sucked the year before as well. Oh, that's bad. Leave it to us to have a random video become a bashing of Evan Neal, the burger flipper. I mean, but it's gonna hurt him. But again, he had that the prior year. I think, I wonder, and I know publicly he said everything nice about Darren Waller in that edition, but I remember there was some stuff his dad said on Twitter that kind of got a little people riled up there. I wonder if part of it was the fact that he's like, shit, I had a good rookie year, and then you guys bring in Darren Waller. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, maybe that was part of it. I mean, I don't know. It's only he knows that part, and his close friends and family. But I'll tell you this: if I'm him, I'm not too happy.
You don't have to be happy, but that's also motivation to play better because you're still going to want to get paid when your rookie deal is up.
Obviously, but you're now a backup in your mind. You know what I mean? Like, even though, again, he had 12 starts or 13 starts out of 17 games, technically, because it's double tight end sets and Waller being hurt. But you also got to look at the fact that eliminates some of the opportunities for you. You know, you're
It
going to
does.
have less times in the field. You're going to have less times. You're a more viable option. You know, there's not a lot of plays specifically designed to throw the ball to the backup tight end. There are some, don't get me wrong, but now you're like receiving option number 5 or 6 sometimes, you know? Like,
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I think the idea last year, which was not executed, was double tight end set with, doing a whole bunch of 12, 22s, 21 set tight end, running back
yeah.
formations and do quick dunk plays. We talked about that at the beginning of the year. And if that was the case, then us go get Waller and say, hey, Bellinger, I know we just drafted you. You had a good year, but this is what we're going to do. Remember when Gronkowski was next to what's his face that hung himself? Hernandez. Like,
Wow. What's his face that hung himself?
sorry, guys. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they both are great. You wouldn't say like there's one that was receiver number 6.
No, but
They were both.
do you really think that
Who backed up who in
Bellinger?
that situation?
Oh, but Hernandez was clearly the backup. But what I'm saying is he was clearly more talented than Bellinger is. I mean, let's be very frank there. That's just what it is. You know,
It is, and you also Tom Brady in the backfield, so Daniel Jones.
he's a nicer guy for
Okay.
record, though.
Yeah, touche.
He didn't kill anybody. But I look at this season with Bellinger and I go, you know what? I'm willing to put behind the 23 season and say you had a role maybe that had some issues there being tight end number 2. You had issues where you were blocking a lot more because of the offensive line. Maybe having bad people next to you blocking kind of hurt you to a certain degree. I mean, let's be honest. Andrew Thomas, even as great as he is and as great as he was last year, he still wasn't Andrew Thomas of the year prior because he also was dealing with injuries. So
Correct.
you gotta look at everything and go, you know what? Let's throw it up as a wash. Let's see what happens next year. Let's call it a day. And hopefully he can go back to being the uprising kind of, player at that point, like he was his rookie year. And we just kind of chalk it up to the entire Giants team sucking last year. And he gets kind of a gimme as long as he comes back to being a more solid player. If he continues, I'm like, okay, now this is 2 years of it.
As I'm saying, if he plays the same or degresses, then that's when you start looking to be like, all right, well,
this could be the season that determines what kind of player people think he is. Basically, it could be that important of a season for Bellinger. You could argue it's potentially the most important season of any Giants tight end on the we're going to talk about here today. So
it 100% is.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.